strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Amp2.tv presents Tell Us Your Business, where you're invited on the air to tell us what makes your business stand out in the community. It's important we hear from you to tell us all we need to know about what you do best. Tell Us Your Business uses the latest radio and television production systems, and all shows can be seen on amp2.tv. If you have a question for our guest, call 888-565-1470. Now, let's get ready as our guest hits the airwaves and informs us about what we need to know on Tell Us Your Business.
Having a really nice, inspiring conversation. Hi. So, welcome to Tell Us Your Biz. I'm Felice Minkin, and this is Grace Geller.
Hi, how are you?
Hi. And we're here today to talk about spirituality and ascension and tools to use to feel really good. And we were focusing on chakras today. I'm a health coach, and I'm leading a chakra reset journey right now with a private group. And we're on week 3, which is the third chakra, which is the solar plexus. And that's all about personal power and autonomy and individuality. And Grace here is a master of a lot of different things, access bars and Reiki. And she just came back from an amazing trip on Mount Shasta. And so she's really in touch right now with her guidance, and she's grounded and feeling great. And she does access bars. We're going to talk a little bit about that too. Mm-hmm. So let's get started.
All right. Hi,
so,
Felice.
Hi.
Been a while.
It's been a while. So Grace and I have been friends for a while now. We both teach at Casa Mana Bliss in Delray, and we've hooked up personally, and I've taken her classes. She teaches Kundalini, and we've had some amazing discussions that we seem to go off on these great tangents. And so now we're just going to have a conversation. You guys get to share in with us. So we're talking about third chakra today as a part of our focus. And third chakra is almost at the heart chakra. It's right in the middle, just underneath underneath your heart, where your ribs meet in the upper chest. And this is where we have our will, our personal power, and we can explore anger here and shame. Those are the enemies of the third chakra, where we feel like it shuts it down. So your chakras can either be open or shut, deficient or excessive. And I guess I should back up a little bit of what is a chakra. I'll say what I think, and I'd love to hear your take on a chakra. Sure. Chakras are energy centers that we have in our bodies, and they're like little vortexes of energy that swirl around. And each of our chakras represent something in our bodies and our minds and the way we can heal. And this has been studied for years, way before us, thousands of years, I would say. And it's a way of getting to know your body. So your mind affects your body affects your mind. When I'm working one-on-one with clients, even though we work with nutrition, we come from a space of what's behind what's going on, any digestive issues or blocks. So we'll even use foods that support the chakras. For instance, solar plexus color is yellow, so we'll eat a lot of yellow foods to support it. Wear yellow colors in clothes, and there's sounds that support the different chakras and all different things that we can go into. But I'd love to hear your take on this.
Well, I think that my take is basically very yogic, in that the word chakra itself comes from a Sanskrit word which means wheels or turning.
Yes.
Energy. And we have about 8 chakras that are commonly known. And they are energy centers placed along the body to help us amplify or tone down energies. They are not, they are not part of the organs, the physical or the anatomical structure. They're more of a subtle body. And, I talk about this often with people, and then they're thinking it's one of those way out kinds of things. Woo-woo. Woo-woo things. And yet nobody has a problem with Bluetooth. We're willing to believe that our telephone can talk to the speaker and back and forth, and we have Alexa and all of these things going on, and we suspend all of our, how does that happen? And yet we don't recognize that the body system, the subtle system, is far more expansive than that and far more unique than what our little human minds have come up with.
Right.
So I always find it's interesting in what people are willing to believe.
Yes. Even radio is the same idea, the radio waves. But as people are getting more and more in tune with the law of attraction and how we can manifest things in our life by picturing it and feeling it. Dr. Joe Dispenza, for instance, has a lot of science to back up
Supporting
this
it.
energy so that people can see when you start to train your mind to be in a certain state, you actually can shift and heal your body in miraculous ways. I think people are starting to open up to it a little bit more. It depends on who you speak with.
You wonder, is it your pool of people or is it everybody beginning to open?
Yeah, I think it's little by little. I feel like it comes in waves, and also people have certain experiences that help to shift them. Even little ways, like I work a lot with crystals. You might be able to see some of it on the screen here a little bit, yeah. And crystals have energy. It's the same idea. Crystals have energy, but even something basic like you walk into a room and maybe somebody who doesn't really define energy as energy might say, I don't like the way it feels in here. The vibe wasn't cool, or whatever words they might use. So I think as people start to trust what they feel, they can start to open up their mind a little bit more. And science keeps coming in to prove things for people who actually want the science. They want to see proof that they need that in order to believe it, which is very okay.
Yeah.
It's very okay.
Well, I think what we're hearing a lot more now is about frequency. And that's becoming the buzzword. And these stones all have a frequency.
Yes, they do.
They may be moving a little bit slower than you and I may be moving, and it's hard for us to perceive the change in them. But each one of the stones resonates with a different frequency. And each one of those frequencies influence the energetic frequency of the human body.
Yes.
So, as you get deeper into light work and energy work, you begin to learn about and use the different frequencies to change things. We may all be familiar with that opera singer who has the crystal glass and she sings at a frequency that shatters the crystal. It's really a manipulation of frequency. And what we're beginning to see in medicine now is the use of frequency to disrupt patterns in the body that are not to its benefit. So we're going to see a lot of change with addressing the chakras and healing and medicine with a frequency change going in. So I think the chakras are really sensitive to the frequencies that we either emanate as a person or take on as we go about our daily lives.
Yes. I love that you're talking about how science and I guess you would call this spirituality, are starting to marry up. I know on a small scale, when I have people come into my classes, I teach a chakra energy flow. So I bring crystals into the class so people get to play with crystal energy. And people who don't know about crystals, they pick them. They don't know why they pick each one. And then after, I'll let them know the properties of what they picked. And almost 100% of the time, it's something that they've been working on. And they usually feel something, even if they're not necessarily attuned to energy in general. And I'd love to hear about access bars as it pertains to energy, because I think it's working very similarly to the crystals.
Well, I think it all works, and we've had several conversations about how nothing's really new. These are ancient sciences, but at the same time, as new can be.
Yeah.
So I use several frequency styles of work to help people feel more unified or to release things that no longer serve themselves. I'm a holy fire Reiki master, and I am a access bars facilitator and teacher. The bars are, everybody kind of has a feeling about what is Reiki. It's gone a little bit more mainstream. We see Reiki coming up in hospitals.
Yes.
We see Reiki in animal centers, hospice, big employer of Reiki masters. Access bars, a little bit newer to America.
Yep.
Very popular in Europe. And what it really relates to is there are 32 energetic bars on the cranium. So this is not cranial sacral work. This is not other types of energy work. The bars themselves are just different areas on the cranium that when we touch them in a sequence, in an order, and we call up the energy of that bars, some of the ideologies that we're kind of stuck with, judgments that we're stuck with, ideas we've been implanted with since the day we were born, things that we've picked up along the way, have a way of just releasing from our energy field so that we no longer are kind of trapped by those thoughts and those patterns. So it's a very simple process that anybody, you don't have to be an energy woo-woo person.
Right.
It's a simple technique and sequence that anybody can do and use to release all of those judgments that really keep us very limited in the possibilities available to us. So with Access Bars, our mantra is all of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory.
Yes.
So that we rid ourselves slowly and dynamically from all of the ways in which we have limited who we are and what we do on this planet as a person, as a species, as an innovator. So many ways, so many judgments that we've picked up very subtly from people that we love, and their intention was never to pick up that you're not good enough or you have to work hard in order to have money.
Well,
Things that
sometimes
are
it is
limiting.
intentional, but I think that most of the time people don't mean harm, and things and everybody takes things differently. You can be in a household growing up with 4 kids, and each kid is going to have a different experience with the same 2 parents. So it all depends on our makeup, on how we receive
And how we limit ourselves with that knowledge.
with that knowledge. And what I love what you're talking about with Access Bars, it comes back to some of the basics, which is how we think. And basically we can use all of these tools, but it all comes back to what goes on in our brain and how we perceive. And although sometimes it feels like we don't have control over what we think, we actually do with some training. And I think with the access bars, it helps release in a way that with a facilitator where we might have difficulty on our own. I think that what you had said about your mantra kind of plays along with affirmations that we have.
Sure.
Like when in my group that we're talking about third chakra this week, we came up with a list of affirmations that support your power. And I feel like when with the access bars, it's the same idea where you're shifting some of those old beliefs, which in access bars you guys say judgments, which is same idea, right? We make judgments. Judgments are beliefs, and some of our judgments support us and some hurt us. They keep us small in ways that for reasons that are never true, because we're meant to be authentic, we're meant to be abundant, we're meant to be happy, joyous. And there are periods of time in our lives where we don't feel that way. But I think with meditation and yoga and any of these arts, with Reiki, I know when I practice Reiki on people and then they are finished, they open their eyes and their eyes seem almost a different color, like they're glowing. So that doesn't necessarily work with your thought process, but if it can happen if you set an intention right before.
Well, I think that what we're really indicating is that there is an abundant amount of tools available to people to really kind of get out of the loop that they're stuck in. And you can find something that you're comfortable with. Perhaps you're not comfortable with the crystals, or you're not comfortable with sound, but maybe you're comfortable with yoga. Or maybe you're comfortable with affirmations. But, in order to really manifest your own joy, your own abundance, you have to have a variety of tools in your toolbox that you can turn to and say, I'm feeling kind of stuck. I'm feeling like I'm not enough. So, what can I do? Okay, maybe I can wear the color yellow, which is a solar plexus color, because it signifies the energy of the sun. It's one of the strongest chakras we have.
It's a strong color, too. It's bright.
It's an abundant color.
It's an abundant color. It can make you, happy. And I agree with you. I think that everybody's been through things in their lives, and everybody gets to create a toolbox of coping mechanisms, and they could be healthy ones or unhealthy ones. And we're in Boca right now, but Delray is right down the street, and we know that is the capital of the United States for addiction recovery. So we see that a lot of people are reaching out for things that are not necessarily healthy, or that supports longevity and wellness. But we have all of these techniques now, even down to affirmations like, I choose healthy relationships, or I am powerful and courageous and worthy. And the brain you might not believe it when you're saying it at first, and you don't really have to, but the brain doesn't know what's real and what's not real. It starts to just hear it. And as you do repetition with any of the tools, and a lot of times, I know for myself, it's a combination of tools. So depending on what I'm going through, I meditate every day, but sometimes meditation is not enough for me to shift my mind if I'm going through a more intense period of time. And sometimes it's just perfect. So, there's all these different tools, from cards for guidance or the sound, or which maybe we'll play a little bit of that before. I don't know where we are with time, and there's the crystals, there's Reiki, there's yoga, and there's all different types of, there's tapping, there's journaling, which I'm a big proponent of for everyone, even if you don't journal a lot, even just for a few minutes. That whole process going from brain to paper is a way of processing your emotions. And one of the things that the third chakra talks about is getting the anger out or shining light on shame. And those are two things that are so important that our society typically looks down on. If you're angry, you're out of control, you're losing it. But it's actually important to let even the emotions that might look quite ugly at times or feel really uncomfortable, to let them flow. And a lot of us who have been using all of these tools have gone through periods of time where we're spiritually bypassing, and we're like, okay, so I'm going to meditate it out, and
Full love.
I'll eat healthy and I forgive, and that's all fine and great, but you first get to feel angry and let it out and punch a pillow and scream and box or kick or something to get it out. Don't kick a person, right?
And that's very true, especially when you're on the spiritual path. We tend to, it's only about love.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not about love.
Right. Or it is, but first you get to feel, and then you get to move
It'll get
through.
to love, but
It'll
right
get
now
to love.
it's not love.
Yeah, you get to honor, like, we're created with a spectrum of emotions, and they're all meant to be felt, and none of them get to be judged. And we don't get to judge each other, and especially ourselves. And if I feel like the more we learn to release judgment of ourselves, that's where people are kinder outward. It starts inside.
I think really important, the judgment issue, and we do. Bars is about releasing judgments, in particular about yourself. We judge ourselves terribly in our society. We're always kicking ourselves.
Yes.
But you can also look at that in the vein of the chakras, because the chakras need to be kept in balance.
Yes.
So when they're out of balance, yes, we could be feeling like, we have a poor self-concept, or we can't do it, or we're not enough. And then when it's a little spiky, perhaps we're feeling we're just a little bit too much.
Yeah, you can be overconfident.
You can be overconfident. You can be the person who can't take any criticism because you're so great. You're the person who can't make a mistake. So there's a whole nother side of being out of balance that we don't really hear talked about. We hear about it when we're feeling kind of low.
Right. Well, there's with the chakras, there's either excess or deficiency.
Right.
So when we're in excess, we might come to overconfidence, but we might also come to deficiency where we're feeling depressed or just kind of sluggish, lethargic, not getting shit done.
But I think
Can I say
those,
that?
yeah.
Oops.
No.
Sorry, can't get things done. Anyway, we'll keep going.
Yeah, but in particular, we tend to do something about it when it's low.
Yeah.
What we don't do is we don't recognize the higher out of whack thing as being something that needs to be done about. When we're a braggart, when we're overly confident,
Right.
We don't tend to do anything about that because we just think, well, we're all that. So
It looks like, oh, you're just confident.
Right.
But you're really covering up for something.
you're coming up for feeling
Right.
less than.
Right. So ways to balance your chakras would, especially for the third chakra, it is about becoming more of an individual, learning who you are authentically and stepping into it. I think more and more people are wondering why they're here and who they really are. And you see people changing careers later in life because they've gone a certain way that they were expected to go and it didn't align with who they really are. And then it takes some courage to come to your truths. And then you're seeing the Me Too movement, which is shining a flashlight on shame. So that people, as soon as you shine the flashlight on the boogeyman underneath the bed, you see that it's doesn't have power anymore. And when people hide shame, when you hide shame, it takes over everything that you do. You feel
It
fake.
infiltrates
Everything. But when you bring shame to the surface and face these things that are difficult, it's a healing, it's a moving out of. And so we're starting to talk about things that weren't talked about before. And
Yeah.
it's interesting and freeing because people get to be free. People get to balance out and be free. And you and I were talking about this, about how it's layers that just keep happening.
Yeah.
So there's not a there. You don't get there. You just keep unraveling to the next layer. And as you get to the next layer, it's just another layer. And sometimes you go back to something that you thought you healed, and it's not necessarily done yet, or it's just in a deeper way. And we get to not judge ourselves there either, especially those of us that teach this stuff. And we feel like,
I should know this.
I should know this.
I should know this.
We should know this.
I've been studying this forever.
Right. And but when we become authentic and high integrity with ourselves, and we let ourselves feel things or be in certain ways that we don't really want to be, but we love ourselves, then I feel like we create love inside of us, and then it generates out.
Lighthouse.
Like the lighthouse or the butterfly
Lighthouse.
effect.
Yeah.
I love
Well,
that.
I think, what we're really talking about here is a journey into being authentic, to really looking at ourselves.
Yes.
And authentically going in and doing the work. And the gift of that is to shine more fully,
Shine
to
more
be more
fully.
bright, to be a beacon to others who might not yet see the light and in themselves. And if they can see the light in you, they can believe that the light is in them
That's
as
right.
well.
Right. So you get to own it in yourself. I get to own it in myself. And anyone who's watching this, you get to own it in yourself. Own the parts that you love, own the parts that you don't love, and really be authentic. So we're wrapping it up. Thank you so much for coming. Come see us at Casa Mana Bliss.
Mana Bliss.
And Chakra Wellness Journey and
Imagine Wellness.
Imagine Wellness. Thank you.
This has been Tell Us Your Business, where a special guest comes on every week and tells us what they do. All shows can be seen on amp2.tv, and if you wish to be a guest, call 866-224-5422 and tell us about your business. That's 866-224-5422. This has been an amp2.tv production.
The opinions expressed